So a lot of you are being told you should only release singles, and you're a little confused, maybe even a little disappointed. Like, when can I release an album? My favorite artists release albums. Why can't I? You can, and I've got a different take on this. In this video, I'm going to tell you when you should be releasing singles versus albums. I've also got some release strategy tips and some mistakes to avoid. And make sure you hang around. I've got a freebie download for you. Hey, I'm Todd. I was a longtime label manager for independent label Fearless Records and a former VP of sales at Sony Music. Most of my years in the music industry have been spent developing artists from the ground up. And I'm still doing that today, helping artists earn a living from their music. All the tips you'll find on my channel come from testing thousands of track releases and from my record label experience. Alright, mash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my videos. First of all, remember this. Singles are for finding new fans, albums are for nurturing existing fans. Now, I'm a big believer that new artists should be releasing mostly singles, but it's like I said, singles are for finding new fans. So with each track release, you're trying to leave as big a footprint as possible. Now with an album, you can explore a concept, set some branding rituals, and sort of memorialize this moment with your core fans and try to lock them in for life. Now, if you're successful branding yourself through imaging or social media and you're just out there and really present, then maybe as fans, we don't need an album to become a lifelong fan. At that point, it becomes more about your personal brand than albums. But for those artists into the album format, I think it becomes a good tool for expressing your brand and building lifelong fans. When you take a singles-only approach, sometimes you fall into the habit of just trying to write hits or perfect your songwriting and try to fit into a certain style or format. And this could stifle your creativity or prevent you from taking risks that you might on an album. So you should eventually work towards releasing an EP or an album. But here's why I think new artists should focus on singles. It's much easier to get potential fans to listen to 1 or 2 songs rather than 30 or 60 minutes of music. A brand new artist releasing an album is not as newsworthy as an existing artist, and it can be difficult to get journalists and influencers to talk about a relatively unknown artist. But I still don't think that's a reason not to release albums. But there is some fan psychology at play, where there's nobody talking about this band. The fans are like, should I care yet? So generally, new artists should be using a singles-only strategy for a while. And remember, being new is a good thing. People are rooting for new. But let's be strategic about our release and not just base it based on what our favorite artists are doing. Think about stacking up your singles one by one, like a snowball effect or a staircase. I use a track development plan strategy. You can download that below. Each time you put out a new song, you can remarket to the people that listened to your last one. This increases your listening time per user, and that's good for your algorithm. You can always package your singles into an EP or an album later. Ask yourself these questions before deciding on an album release. Have you established your sound and style? Have you developed your branding and identity? Do you have a single track that has streamed 150,000? For most of you watching, a steady stream of singles is going to be what I recommend. But don't be releasing singles every week. Even every 2 weeks is too much. I'm not into this fire hose spray and pray strategy. Here's why that's just dumb. If you release a single every week, you can't even get Release Radar on Spotify. Why would you want to miss out on that? To get Release Radar, you have to pitch a week in advance. And you can only pitch 1 song at a time. So the way it works out, technically you miss the deadline and it makes it impossible to do. Here's the second big thing. After you release your track, the algorithm might grab a hold of it. Who knows? Maybe it's going to take it on a wild ride up. But as soon as you release another song on top of that, boom, it sort of hits the pause button. And then you'll never know if you might have hit that momentum and it could have gone even better for your track. So that's another big reason I wouldn't do it. I want to mention something else. Music is not the complete picture. I mean, what about video content? You want to have some kind of video and a plan behind it. And when you're doing it so frequently, that could take a lot of extra time. Your singles should also have features from other artists from time to time. We learned the true value of collaborations during the pandemic. And features has become basically like virtually touring with other artists. Another thing, songs take a while to sink in and work their magic on us. We have to hear them a few times. We might have to be prodded by our friends or just hear it over and over before it really sinks in. Recently, I was talking with one of my music lawyer friends, Eric German. He's a great guy, one of the few lawyers that still gets out there and goes to shows and has meaningful conversations with the artists. We had similar ideas on release strategy, but I liked his 6/8 strategy. He put it in the context of an artist trying to get signed or get attention from the industry. The idea is that you would release 6 singles over a period of 8 months, which gives you basically like an EP every year. And that would give you maybe 4 months to prepare your releases and then 8 months for the marketing and promotion onslaught. So after doing this a few times, hopefully something catches fire, you start to get attention, maybe it attracts a label and you get signed. If you do get signed, awesome. Hopefully you're on your way to breaking through to a bigger audience. But there's no guarantee that that will happen. But if you don't get signed, don't worry. Just make improvements and some adjustments over the next 4 months and then repeat the process. What often happens is an artist ends up signing too early and they put those singles and an EP out on a label and they've given up 50 to 80% of their rights. And if it doesn't go well, then now next time you want to put out a single or an EP with this label, you're sort of in an uncomfortable position. And at least in the self-releasing scenario, you own 100% of your rights. What many of my members have started doing is releasing an album of material over a period of a year, maybe as 2 EPs, and sometimes even over 18 months. So here's an example. So they'll release 4 singles in a row over 4 months and drop a 6-song EP. Then take a break to record, then start another 6-song EP over 4 months. In the 2 EP scenario, you'll have enough time to separate your recording and promotion efforts and not spread yourself thin while in the creative phase. I also wouldn't go full blast 100% with every song. Unless you can afford a video, advertising, and an influencer campaign for every track release, then I would break it up into A campaigns and B campaigns. I mean, even major companies like Apple, Honda, Nike, they're not doing 10 to 12 campaigns a year, and neither should you. So choose your best songs wisely, and perhaps focus on 4 or 5 big ones a year. Again, grab my track development plan in the description below, because it shows you what to do for these big A campaigns. Some of you brand new artists are thinking, Todd, I want more music out there quicker. I don't want people checking out 1 or 2 songs and then leaving. I'd tell you to be patient, but if you want to get more music out there in a shorter period of time, then release double singles. Lead with your best song, call it the A side. And then for the second song, call it the B side. That one you're not going to put a big marketing campaign and video budget into. Leave some comments and questions below. If you like this video, you should check out my other video on how much should I spend to promote a single. I really appreciate you checking out my channel. I hope I can help you on your way to making music your career. All right, take care.